Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakakwadash. Yahweh is the true, holy, and powerful name of the Heavenly Father. Bahasham meaning in the name. Yahweh Shai is the true, holy, and powerful name of His only begotten Son, who is the Savior of the nation of Israel, starting off with the elect within the nation of Israel. And Israel consists of you so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans, as well as you Israelite foreigners scattered abroad that may look like the nations where you've been scattered to, but are Israelites. And I also want to give double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect, pushing out this word in all sincerity and in truth. All right, this is the brother you call from the GMS branch out of Des Moines, Iowa, coming back at you with another lesson inspired by the Holy Spirit, Habakkuk Kodash. And this is going to be an MOTB update. All right, as you see here from End Time Headlines, all right, it's a article that just got posted entitled Arkansas and Virginia become first states to commit to Apple Wallet digital ID. All right, so I think it was last week, maybe the week before, but Apple publicly announced that they were going to be instituting the digital ID or a part of your Apple wallets or something along those lines. All right, the Spirit had me do a lesson on it last week. But nevertheless, these are all steps moving forward to the forced implementation of the mark of the beast, okay, which is that micro C hip. So everything is being put in place, the system is in place. All right, the people are getting accustomed to it. They already got it to where you scan your chip and this and that and the third. There's people that are already have micro C hips within them. All right, you got companies that were micro C hipping their employees. All right, you had a company a few years back, the Three Square Market, all right, over there in Sweden. Majority of them are already micro C hip, right? But this is going to be the end all be all end game, okay, for this NWO. All right, is to eventually get the masses all micro C hip. Okay, so I'm gonna go into this article, read a little bit of it, jump into Revelation, the 13th chapter, and go into it. And Lord's will this be edifying. All right, so like it says, Arkansas, Virginia become first states to commit to Apple Wallet digital ID. Apple Wallet recently launched a new digital ID feature using U.S. passports, but support for states' driver's license continues to grow too, and two new states have now pledged support for the feature. After a slow start, Apple Wallet's digital ID initiative is finally starting to take off, and they're moving full head of steam with this, man. Okay, they've been they've been testing things for a while and everything like that, but we're getting to the point to where they're going to really start putting the pedal to the metal, all right, foot to the gas on this, man. Okay, it says three new states have launched digital driver's license in the past 6 months alone, and the new passport-based solution in iOS 26i or 26.1 should help accelerate Apple's efforts even further. All right, and the spirit just had me think about this over here. If you look here, all right, this is a forecast that they have the world ahead, 2026. Now, this is from The Economist, and the elites. They speak to one another in these different codes, and they always release these different projections of what's going to happen in the year ahead. As you see here, the elites are forecasting a grim 2026. And if we take a closer look, all right, if you see, if you analyze this, this isn't really focused on this, but it ties into the point. This lesson isn't focused on this, but it ties in. All right, you see what? You see America. All right, this is the 250 year anniversary coming into next year. But what you see, all right, shackles, all right, around, the people, you know, that right there, man, a shackle around, and that had me thinking about that black horse, all right, that had the yokes. And that's what's happening. See, more oppression is coming on a higher level, more strict measures, right? And they're going to use AI and this technology. Okay, they're going to forward all this, this stuff that's all incorporated in the beast system to put in more strict measures, man. Okay. But you got the shackles around here. You see the different missiles, war. All right, you see a laser, a satellite weapon. All right, shooting. What is that? A cargo ship that's got weapons. All right, that's shooting out of it. So you see a lot of things in relation to war, tanks. But then if you look, it's nothing but pills everywhere. All right, pills everywhere, man. Which is a sign of some type of pandemic, and there's a lot of different things that you could look in here. Syringe here, you know, you see all of that, and with war coming, all right, you got a lot going on here. But if you look closely, you see what robot dogs, and a lot of these are throughout this image, man. Robot dogs, different things that is in relation to AI technology and AI enforcement, man. All right, so everything is moving towards this, man. This whole AI digital system. All right, everything's moving towards war. Everything's moving towards pestilence. That's Jeremiah 28:8. This is what the prophets always prophesy about. The prophets that have been before me, before thee of old, prophesied both against many countries and against great kingdoms, of war and of evils and of pestilence. And in this picture, all right, this depiction that they have here, you see all of the above: signs of war, signs of hard times, evil, pestilence. You see here the dollar, all right, it's crumbling. They're collapsing the dollar to bring in this new digital system, all right, this new economy, right? This new economic system that's going to be all digital, enforced by what, that micro C hip. So they're bringing everything together, man. Okay, so everything's leading to this. So these are just steps, all right, to get people comfortable, all right, with these different things, man, until they fully enforce it. All right. So let's jump back to it. It says three new states have launched digital. I read that. It says Apple has previously announced several U.S. states that have committed to offer digital IDs, including Connecticut, Kentucky, Oklahoma, Utah, and more. All right, and over here in Iowa, they were talking about it like about a year back. All right, but now you can actually get that on your phone as well. So you got certain people, they got their IDs already on their phone that they're accepting. So these things are happening. It's moving, man. All right, it says the devil is coming down, having great wrath because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. So he's moving quick. All right, Arkansas, Virginia, both Arkansas and Virginia now say on official government websites for their own mobile ID apps that they have committed to adding Apple Wallet support. For example, from Virginia mobile ID page, Virginia has signed on to adopt ID and Apple Wallet in the future, enabling residents to add their VA driver's license and ID to Apple Wallet on iPhone and Apple Watch. No timeline has been shared for the state's rollouts, but since each offers their own mobile ID app already, hopefully Apple Wallet users won't have to wait too long. All right, so this is all a part of that agenda. Okay, moving forward with this digital, the digital IDs is going to lead to the MOTB, man. All right, to where you're going to be ostracized from society unless you have these different requirements. Okay, that's what they're going to make it. Okay, to where you can't get access to all these different things. All right, unless you have these requirements, man. All right, so let's grab it. Revelation 13 and 16. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, man. So this is worldwide. This is why all these other nations are moving to digital IDs. This is a global, all right, confederation. Okay, you know, conspiracy. All right, conspiracy just means to breed together. All right, so these elites. All right, they're coming together to push forth this system throughout all these nations, man. All right, making it worldwide. Right, it says in that no man might buy or sell. Okay, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Right, so when we go into this word for mark here, the Greek word charagma. All right, so like I mentioned, it says charagma. It says a stamp and imprinted mark. This is something that's physical. Okay, that's why in the book of Revelation in later chapters, it talks about how they received a grievous sore, those that received the mark. All right, and then you go into that word sore, it mentions an ulcer. All right, and how do you get an ulcer? Or what causes an ulcer? Because of something being impricked in the skin. As a matter of fact, we can grab that definition and we'll grab the precept, just to show the point, to prove the point that this is something that is physical for the different camps out there that's saying that is spiritual and this and this that. Like, nah, this is something that's physical, man. All right. Okay, so Revelation 16 and 2, and it says, and the first went out, and the first went and poured out his vial upon the earth, and there fell a noisome and grievous sore upon the men which had the mark of the beast, and upon them which worshiped his image, right? Upon them that had that mark, right? So when we go into this, sore, it says helkos, right? It says a wound, especially a wound producing a discharge, pus, a sore, an ulcer. All right, an ulcer, right? So when we look up ulcer, Ay, Dios mío. Come on, bro. All right, so let's look up the word ulcer. Ulcer definition, Oxford. All right, so the word ulcer. Let me go to the Oxford English. Let me see. Or is it the Cambridge? Okay, this is or in the Cambridge definition, it says a break in the skin or on the surface of an organ inside the body that does not heal naturally. All right. It says, it mentions what? A break in the skin. This is what causes that ulcer. All right. In the Merriam Webster, a break in the skin or mucous membrane with loss of surface tissue. And these are just different details just to show you that this is something physical. All right. A break in the skin or mucus so that the underlying connective tissue is exposed. All right. And it's going to produce, it's going to bring in that radiation, man. Okay, that C hip is going to emit radiation. All right, that's going to cause different medical issues, cancer, and so on and so forth, man. All right, tumor, all of that, man. But just proving this point to show you that this is something that's physical because of a break in the skin, right? So going back to this definition of charagma, all right, it says down here in the Strong's definition, it says a scratch or etching, i.e., stamped as a badge of servitude. Right. So this is a badge of servitude. Okay. This is you pledging your allegiance to the elites, to this system, to the devil. All right. To the Satan, to Satan, man. The serpent. Okay. Esau, Edom, the serpent, man. All right. You know, so this isn't a light thing at all, man. All right. That's why in the book of the 14th chapter, it lets you know that if you get that micro C hip, if you're here in Babylon, you getting lit up in that lake of fire, man. All right. But he's going to create so much chaos. All right. So much anarchy, so much distress to where people are going to be begging for relief. And he's going to present this micro C hip as being the relief from the calamity that he's created. Order out of chaos, man. All right. From the distress and destruction that he's created. All right. So that what he could track. Okay, have total control. All right, total control. That's what he wants, man. Okay, so this is a badge of servitude. Going back into the law, let's hit this real quick. In the book of Exodus, it talked about that awe. All right, this is a digital awe. All right, that he's pushing and enforcing, going to enforce upon the masses. All right, so this is Exodus chapter 21 and verse 5, it says, and if the servant shall plainly say, I love my master, my wife, and my children, I will not go out free. Then his master shall bring him unto the judges. He shall also bring him to the door or unto the doorpost, and his master shall bore his ear through with an awe, and he shall serve him forever. All right. So you getting that micro C hit is you pledging full allegiance, all right, to Esau, Edom in this system. All right. And separating your allegiance from Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, you trusting in him. So all those that get that digital awe, they're going to be destroyed and they're rejected by Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shah because they chose this system. They chose the beast. They chose the serpent, man. Okay? You know? And you're going to have majority of the people, the masses of the people that are going to do that. But you're going to have the remnant that's going to resist, that didn't receive their mark, all right, didn't worship his image, like it talks about later in the book of Revelation. So going back, now I want to go into the 666. All right, let's read the next verse, Revelation 13 and 17. I'll read 16 again. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that hath the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. Right? So when we go into this, and the reason we're going into this is because that article, it mentioned about what your ID, okay, the digital ID. Now on this micro C hip is going to be all your information, okay, your health records, your financial information, your bank, your money, right? Everything, man. Okay, everything is going to be on that micro C hip. Everything is being consolidated to this one system to gather up all your information and tie you in. Okay, tie you in through this micro C hip, man. All right, so that 666 is Chi Psi Stigma. All right. So this is the chi, this is the psi or xi, psi, and stigma. Okay, and we're gonna go into the stigma, right? So we go to the root of it, that last character. All right, it's called a stigma, right? So stigma, it says a mark pricked in or branded upon the body. To ancient Oriental usage, slaves and soldiers bore the name or stamp of their master or commander, branded or pricked, cut into their bodies to indicate what master or general they belong to. So this is pledging your allegiance. All right. It shows who you belong to, right? And there were even some devotees who stamped themselves in the way with the token of their gods, right? You know? So that's 666, okay, because we're going to go into it, the barcode. All right, because if you look at all of the barcodes, let's pull it up here. All right, when you go get something scanned at the store, all right, everything has a barcode, right? And this barcode collects all the information of that product. All right, that's why it's a UPC code, Universal Product Code, right? Now, just looking here, all right, the hidden 666 in the barcode. All right, if you look at these three lines, well, it says notice the three guard bars. All right, on each UPC code, they have guard bars, and this allows the scanner to acknowledge, all right, what it's reading. To pretty much sum it up. That it's actually reading a barcode, right? So it says notice the three guard bars colored red at the beginning, middle, and end. Now notice the same bar pattern, bar space bar or 101 for the number six. So this represents six, this represents six, this represents six. All right. This is on every single barcode. All right. So what they're doing is you are the product. Okay. They're making you the product and they're going to gather all your information on that barcode, man. Let me go back here. All right. What is the purpose of a UPC code? So your driver's license, your your passport, all of this various information is going to be consolidated on this micro C hip, man. All right. That's where the AI, all this technology, all this stuff that they're doing, it's all going to tie in together, man. So it says UPC codes are used for identifying and tracking products, right? And what are they talking about, man? Okay. They're talking about immigration problems, man. So they need to identify people. Okay, we got these digital IDs to help identify people. All right, well, they're going to have a micro C hip to help identify you. All right, identifying and tracking products across the supply chain, streamlining retail operations from point of sale to inventory management. Okay, it says primary uses for UPC codes. Checkout. UPC codes speed up checkout, right? And what have they been pushing? How convenient it is, to just scan. They got the Amazon Go stores where you can just walk out, They're trying to make it seem as convenient, quicker. They're using all these different tactics. They're going to use the convenience as a tactic. All right, they're going to use as far as locking you out of the system unless you got those different things like they did when that C19 dropped. All right. Where you had to have a mask or you had to have the juice in you or you couldn't go to the gym or you couldn't do this or you couldn't go in certain stores, right? All right. That's another avenue that they're going to use. All right. And they're going to also eventually really kick it in with the fear. Okay. So whereas they're going to get people to get what? Beheaded. All right. So if you aren't getting this, because this is for the safety of the people. We're really trying to help everybody out. Now we got to kill you if you don't do it because this is really trying to help. You got to be a teist if you don't want to get this. Why wouldn't you get it? It's the best thing, why wouldn't you get it? Are you a teist? They're going to use all these different tactics, right? But they're going to use it all, man. They're going to come out and use everything they got, man. They're going to have the entertainers getting it, dancing with it, just like they did with the just with the C19. You had, damn, well, what's your boy name is, man? Juvenile. This nigga came out with a track, back that ass up, you know, remixed it to get the jab that ass up. You know what I'm saying? They got all types of stuff, man. They had Jake in there getting, syringed on camera. So they gonna come out with everything to get people to submit to getting this micro C hit, man. All the propaganda, all the fear, all the enforcement, man. He's gonna try and cause all. He's gonna try and enforce this and make everybody get it, right? So it says, UPC codes speed up checkout by allowing cashiers to scan items for instant price and product information, replacing manual entry and reducing lines, right? This is going to help in the healthcare system, you know. gonna quickly get you in, quickly get you out, and we already got all the information that we need. We could save lives with this. They're gonna lie about everything, right? They are essential for business to track stock levels, monitor what is sold, and manage inventory with greater accuracy. All right, and once again, it's a universal product code, but they're looking at you as being the product. So they want to track you. All right. They want to know everything, man. Okay. Hey, even your boy RFK Jr. All right, he switched his tune. At first he was speaking against the juice and everything like that, you know. And now he's talking about, they want to get everybody to have these health trackers. Everybody's talking about getting stuff to track people and to do this. And then you had your boy Carl Schwab, all right, the head of I think he was the head of WEF. I'll be forgetting about those different organizations, who's the head of what. All right, but he just got he's not at the head of it anymore. They brought in that other Edomite. All right, but nevertheless, he was like, they want biometric tracking under the skin. That's the goal. All right, that's what they want to push. Okay, so these different steps are just moving all forward towards that, man. It says in warehouses, UPCs are scanned to quickly and accurately pick up and ship orders. Product tracking, they allow for tracing product movement throughout the supply chain, including warehouse and during shipping activity. So they want to track your movements. That's why they got these cameras everywhere, man. And this is military grade equipment that they've released to the public for tracking. All right, but they just made it look cute. Hey, look, you can get on Snapchat with it. They're scanning your face, facial recognition, gathering up all that information. How do you think they're able to move forward and this AI is just advancing so quickly? All right. Because of all the information that they're consistently gathering from your iPhones, from these damn, cameras and, from voice recognition and Siri here and, you know, listening to, all this different stuff. They're constantly collecting data. All right. Voice recognition patterns and everything like that, man. Okay. That's why that AI is advancing so much because all of this technology is everywhere. All this smart information, smart this, smart TV, smart refrigerator, smart toaster, damn smart pencils, just all of that, man. They're gathering information. Okay. You know, so it says data collection. All right, we're going to get into this. Scanning UPCs at checkpoint or checkout provides valuable sales data for business to analyze. So when we go back to that word charagma. All right. I meant to go into it earlier, but it's all good. So when we go back to the word charagma in Revelation 13 and 16, we're gonna go to the root of that, or word that's related to it. All right, so we already read charagma, right? So then it says from the same as this Greek word here. All right, karax, okay. A pail, a stake, or palisade, and you can liken that into the syringe that they use, all right, to insert that micro C-hip into you, man. Okay. But then even further, so that's karax, from karasso to sharpen to a point akin to this word through the idea of scratching, right? So let's look up this word. It says what? Grapho. Okay. Well, this is where you get all the information. So on this physical C-hip, this microchip, right? It's going to carry all of the information, all of the grapho to write the reference to the form of letters, to write with reference to the contents of the writing, so this is just all the information, that is going to be gathered on that micro C hit, man. So steps like this is leading to getting all that information, okay, that can be easily transferred to that micro C hit once they start inserting people in it on a mass scale, man. So that's really it through the spirit. Just want to do a quick update on that. Lord, so that was edifying. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect, pushing out this word in all sincerity and in truth. With that, I'm going to say shalom.